Hey guys, Joe here. Welcome to another edition of This Week in Van Life, coming to you from Winter Park, Colorado. Check out these views. And we're actually just staying in the parking lot at Winter Park Ski Resort here because we couldn't get a campsite, but it's not that bad. There's like 3 people here. This video though, we're gonna be talking about our stay in Frisco, Colorado, the mountain biking that we did, the trail running that we did, the food that we ate that was awesome, the coffee, and even where we worked. So let's go. Let's start off with activities first. We mountain biked a ton over at the Frisco mountain bike trails. I believe that's just what it's called. That's all I could find on Trail Forks, but if you go and search for mountain bike trails in Frisco, you will find them and see what I mean. And I will have links to the actual trails and rides that we did down below in the show notes here. So make sure you check those out if you'd like to see exactly what we did. The cool thing about the Frisco mountain bike trails is that they are beautiful. They're right next to the Dillon Reservoir, which unfortunately you cannot swim in, and we'll go into that a little bit later, but it is a fantastic place for some pretty easy, mild mountain bike riding with a high amount of beauty all around you. So it's not highly technical. You could go into the bike park with some massive jumps, and then you could go on the pretty mild trails, and there's not a lot in between, but it's still fun, still get yourself a workout, and it's still a very high elevation training location for you. So if you go there, it doesn't seem as hard. It's gonna seem hard just from the elevation standpoint. Most of our rides started off on the perimeter trail, and like I said, check out our links because you can see how you loop some of those other trails together. And the perimeter trail is just a very easy access trail, and it's one of the most beautiful. So it's really easy to just hop on there and get started. We also did some great trail running there. So we linked together about a 10-mile trail run. So if you're there and you need to do some trail running, it is actually maybe even better for trail running as far as the grades go. So for mountain biking, at least for me, I like highly technical mountain biking trails with some drops, with some hard things to go up. They didn't really have too much of that, but the trail running was really flowy, really cool. You could still get some elevation, and it was just fun, like I said, with amazing views. For food, the one notable food location that we went to was called Birdcraft, and it's actually in this little kind of brewery slash coffee place that we went to over by Whole Foods. Links are down below for it. And I got this Ahi Tuna Bowl that was pretty darn good. I would recommend checking it out if you're looking for a healthy bite to eat. For coffee, we spent a lot of time in Frisco working at the Whole Foods and drinking their coffee, eating their food. Whole Foods around the country, if you don't know this already, are one of the best places to get consistent, fast internet, and they do not disappoint. It's really cool because during COVID times, they'd actually shut down their indoor seating area, but at this particular Frisco Whole Foods, they put up an outdoor-ish seating area that has airflow through it, and you can sit there and you can get your work done with connecting to the internet. The only downside is there are no plugs out there, so you have to make sure your devices are totally plugged in and ready to go. We kind of did the shimmy of going from working with a full battery, using up our computer batteries when we're doing heavy, for me, video processing, like editing this video is going to take a bunch of video processing power out of the computer, and then headed in the van, plugging it in and waiting for it to charge, and then redoing that whole shimmy again. We also enjoyed the Mountain Dweller Coffee Roaster, which is in the same building as where I got the Ahi Tuna Bowl, and their coffee, their cold brew is really good. In that whole building, it was really cool to hang out in, but the downside to it is that the music was really loud. You could connect to the free internet, but for some reason, they decided to limit the sites that you could go to on their Wi-Fi network. So for example, I went there for a Zoom call, and I wasn't really going to be participating as much as like speaking or running the Zoom call, but just sitting there listening. I couldn't get connected at all. They had it completely blocked. I know that Emily had some problems getting connected there as well, so that's why we basically just totally posted up at the Whole Foods in order to get our internet needs met. For camping, there's some really good camping options if you're in Frisco, and the first one that we stayed at when we drove in there without having a camping site is called the Pine Cove Campground, and this is mostly just like a parking lot with 2 big spaces, so you could fit some big trailers and trucks in there if you needed to. Has a beautiful view of the Dillon Reservoir. It's right where the mountain bike trails are. Actually, you could go and park there for the mountain bike trails. So if you camp there, it's really cool because you don't have to move your rig at all. You just hop on the trails right from there. It's really awesome. The downside is that it's a parking lot, and the other downside is that this beautiful reservoir does not allow swimming. And it seems like the rules have been set in place for this reservoir that were, you know, many years ago, and they haven't revised them. The rules are that they don't want you to swim in there because it is their drinking water. I don't see why you can't have a filtration system that would take care of that these days. The other thing is that they're worried about people getting hypothermia, which is laughable because it's like 60 some degrees in that reservoir, which, gosh, there's people seeking out, including myself, cold bath and cold training places that are well below that. So if people are gonna go and get themselves in trouble and give themselves hypothermia and 60 some degrees, then there's something wrong with that particular person. I am sorry. Right down from the Pine Cove campground is the Peak 1 campground, which is a little bit better in my opinion than the Pine Cove campground because you have trees in between your sites and you have a little bit more seclusion from the camper that's next to you. The downside to this one is that it is not first come first serve like the Pine Cove campground is. You have to reserve ahead of time in the summer at least to get a spot. Maybe midweek you could come in and get a spot, but you're probably not gonna have it through the weekend, so make sure that you plan ahead if you want a little bit of a nicer camping experience. Both of the campgrounds are right next to each other. It's just basically parking lot versus traditional kind of dirt campground with a, you know, fire pit and all that fun stuff with a little bit more privacy from other campers around. All right guys, that is the full update on This Week in Van Life from Frisco. The next video, we're gonna be talking about how the training went for the Leadville Marathon, how that marathon went, coming to you from Leadville, Colorado, which is right down the street from Frisco, Colorado. And yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, we would love it if you gave us the thumbs up and consider subscribing if you really liked the video. And if you really, really liked it, we would love it if you shared the video with your friends and other people interested in this van life movement. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.